All right. I think we'll start. Um, so yeah, welcome everyone. Good to have you here. I hope you all had a good summer and I'm back at work. Yeah, it's been quite a long time since we last had a town hall, I think. Yeah, it's good to catch up, see where we're at. As always, we sort of strive to have a more informal space where if some of you have any questions or want to join on stage, you're more than welcome to that. Um, and yeah. So if you have questions as we go along, just feel free to either ask them in the chat or simply join us on the stage to have a conversation. Today we will focus on different things. First and foremost, I will give a short introduction to sort of the overarching goal and sort of our strategic approach to get there. And then I'll also briefly touch upon some of the things that we are working on more on the conceptual side, such as governance and also our theory of money and also some of the um, small events we plan to do. Um, then afterwards, Tights will give a he'll speak a bit about where we currently are on the core and application side, what we have achieved so far in 2024, and what's going to happen in the next 4 months of the year. And then also we'll have Carsten, who's going to speak a bit about consensus algorithms. I think if that's at least that's what I understood. And then finally we have a new star on the team, Leander, who is sort of a money expert. Yeah, he recently joined our team, so he's also just briefly introduce himself. Yeah, so that's the program for today. So yeah, as mentioned before, I'll simply just start by giving a small talk a bit about where we currently are and where we're heading. So I'll just share my screen here with you. Just a second. Uh, yeah, I think it's this one. You see my screen now, right? I'd assume so.
Yes, we see the screen. Just remember to
Okay.
click on the screen so then it will go up in size. So you need to click where you see John's screen and then you'll have it in full screen.
Okay, cool. Then I just need to do like that. It's I had some problems exporting the PDF. It showed up quite unconventionally, but I hope it will do. Um, yeah. So first and foremost, I just want to like give a small idea of what sort of the big overarching goal is. So that is to create this open infrastructure for innovative financial applications. And these applications may comprise complementary currencies, asset tokenization, trading, all sorts of different financial applications, which we at the end of the day believe will either benefit people or the planet, or ideally both. So this is the that's what we're sort of working towards. Have this big financial ecosystem comprising lots of different financial applications. Um, and yeah, to get there, we have adopted sort of a two-pronged approach, which on the one hand consists of what we have adopted the inside-out approach, and then on the other hand the outside-in approach. And I would say to a big degree, it is the inside out approach which currently is driving the uh, driving forward Tagion. So the inside out approach sort of consists in building out the network first and foremost, and product suite before we actually start marketing um, the network. And this, to some extent, I would say, contrast with the conventional crypto approach, or ethos, or whatever you want to call it, the way you do things in crypto, where for a lot of projects at least, there's a tendency to first, um, have a software development kit, virtual machines, these sorts of things, which allows developers to join the network, or start building applications before actually the network is live. Whereas we have taken sort of a different approach where we want to have all these different things ready, the network itself, before we actually start to onboard developers and companies. So yeah, so that's one part. We want to we prioritize building out the network and the product suite first. And this also involves, to some extent, creating educational material, aiming to teach developers and companies and communities about the network and how to access and use it. So, for example, if you take something like complementary currencies, which is something we are deeply passionate about, and which we believe at the end of the day could foster a more inclusive and equitable and yeah, all around just a more fair financial system. That's something we are very passionate about and which we sort of believe in. And so we strive to build a network and a product suite that can accommodate that. But that's just one thing. So we also want to have or not have, but we want to ensure that people actually they get to understand the value of this. Because I think whenever we talk about complementary currencies, it's probably a bit fluffy or a bit abstract. What is it? How can it benefit us? So that's where I think there's a good quote by Schumpeter, and I wrote it down here just so I can remember. But he says, consumers are taught to want new things, or things which differ in some respect or other from those which they have been in habit of using. So they have been in habit of using conventional currencies, fiat currencies, and now we need to teach them how to actually use other kinds of currencies. And that's why we also emphasize the educational part. We want to um, write a lot of educational materials, do events, do small workshops, all of these different things to educate the people, the businesses, the communities who could potentially benefit from adopting these alternative monetary systems. So that very much speaks into the inside out approach. So in summary, we want to build a Tagion network and teach people how to use it to build innovative financial applications for the betterment of people and nature. So that's the one leg. And then on the other hand, we have outside in approach, which consists in primarily, as it is right now at least, Descartes collaborating with external partners to build custom financial applications. Um, and yeah, as mentioned, this is primarily driven forth by Descartes, which is this commercial entity tasked with helping building the Tagion infrastructure and drive its adoption. So, for example, with Descartes, Descartes is speaking to lots of different potential clients who want to build an Tagion network. And then Descartes' task is to help these companies provide and build custom financial applications that are specifically tailored to accommodate their demands. And that, of course, would also retroactively sort of determine in which direction Tagion is going in. But still, it's all about the financial applications and building this big financial ecosystem. Um, yeah, so this is sort of the two-pronged approach which we have taken, and ultimately with the aim of getting us to a place where we can build this big ecosystem for innovative financial applications. And at least I myself is quite I'm quite happy at where we are currently. I think we have a good team, some really competent people to actually carry this out. So, and also it seems like for the past 6 years, no, sorry, not 6 years, 6 months, we have been yeah, quite focused, and we have started. It makes a lot of sense actually what we're doing now. So at least that's how I see it personally. So that's really good. Yeah. So just in relation to this strategy thing and how to get there, I also just briefly want to touch upon the the uh, the the question of web exchange, which is sort of a meme in the crypto sphere, and I know it means a lot to a lot of people when you get listed on an exchange, but and it's also something we continuously are being asked about. So I also just want to address it yet another time that it's not for us a top priority where we currently are. So and that's probably also is more related to this inside out approach that we actually want to build something robust and something where there is sufficient demand for the TTN token before we get listed. So, and that's why for us, getting customers, clients onboarded is crucial before, and also decentralizing the network. These different things are sort of a prerequisite before we get listed. Yeah. So but yeah, if you want to know more, or you know, feel free to let us. Yeah, if you have any questions concerning this, always be feel free to ask. We're more than happy to discuss it. Yeah, and again, I know it's something that means a lot, at least to some. To us, not so much. And yeah, I fully understand. But just to summarize, it's simply because we don't think it would um, benefit the project where we currently are to get listed on the exchange. Yeah. Um, all right. And then I also just briefly want to uh, discuss some of the things that we are going to be working on for the next half year, I would assume, or at least for the next 4 months. But yeah, so first and foremost, there is governance. And that's something that to us, I would say, means a lot because we don't want to have, um, or at least that's what we strive for. We don't want to have a system where the, um, capital and governance, or essentially power, is consolidated in the hands of few entities, which is sort of the thing that happens with a lot of the big decentralized networks. They're not really that decentralized when it comes to power and capital. So we strive to build a governance model that is much more fair and and democratic, you could say, um, egalitarian, or whatever you want to call it. But that's sort of what we strive for, and we also have a workshop next week for 3 days where we're really going to dive into this. And then based on that, in the future, we're going to publish a paper, which I expect to be out maybe in December or something like that. Yeah. So that's one thing. Then we also have we'll also be publishing several things on money. We already have some blog posts which I don't know, maybe Leander will talk about that later. So yeah, that's one thing. And then besides that, we'll also be publishing sort of a working paper on money. And so that's something that's continuously will be updated. So that would be with a focus on first and foremost what money is, and secondly what the current monetary system look like, and then also sort of diagnose it, find some of or explain some of the malfunctions of the current monetary systems, and then at the end prescribe some remedies to create a more a better financial system, a monetary system, essentially. So that's also something we're working on. And then finally, we also will be doing some small events. So and when exactly it's going to be, I'm not sure yet. But we it could, for example, and also the nature of the events we do not know yet, but it could be something like a small hackathon, or presentations of some sort, or meetups, or how exactly it's going to look like, I'm not fully sure yet, but that's something we are expecting to do within the next half year. So I think that's more or less it on this side. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or I see actually there are being written some stuff in the chat. Okay, so that's okay, but yeah, if there's no questions for this, I think I would just hand it over to Tights if you want to join me on the stage. I don't know if I'm muted, or I'm not muted. Okay. Can try to say something, guys?
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jonas. And I think just going back to because Mass is asking question about the exchange and when, if you're still there. I think we touched upon this topic many times before, right? And our general thinking about this is that we want to create real usage of the system, and that's always been the goal. And it would probably be possible for us, or it would, to go on exchanges now, and but then we will need to do a lot of marketing and market making, so to speak, to artificially keep the price high. That is, of course, one case in order to get marketed, so to speak, on an exchange platform. But we will rather take the you could say organic approach, where we actually, first of all, we need to have the system more decentralized. That's a high priority for us. And then secondly, also to have more utility on the top, meaning building a community that basically builds application on top, and also you could say partners, companies building on top of the system to create utility, leading to the demand of the token. Because in the end, that will basically lead to a healthy marketplace, because a marketplace is all about supply and demand. If you don't have any demand, then your price will go towards zero rather quick. So that's how we think about it. And I know we had a lot of dates out, and we probably also be very optimistic about this, and also how quick we could deliver this project. As you've been here for quite some time, right? And I think the good thing about this, we have good traction, and we've delivered all the milestones the last 1.5 years, more or less, and it's actually we generating good traction and moving towards that point. So I would say we are still like overall aiming for 25, but we need to have those two, you could say, main drivers in place first. That's, if that makes sense. You can also jump on stage or just put a question more out there, Mads. I think that makes sense, right, Jonas? That's how we think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agreed.
Yeah. And it's not like, I think all of us, at least Jonas and many others in this forum probably hold quite a lot of tokens as well. So it's not like I think we all have an interest in this, but we also have a long-term interest in actually making the project becoming viable and sustainable in the end. So that's also the main aim, of course. Okay. Should I say something else, actually, Jonas? Yeah, I should say something about the roadmap, actually. Yeah.
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 Good.
I'll just share my screen here. I think it's here. Go live. What happens? Yeah, I share the screen here. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, we had a reach milestone. It's purple here, or violet, whatever color it is. This nice color here. We reached one of the main milestones running in mode 1, basically before here, actually in the summer. So that's very nice. Been able to test this, meaning the system communicates with, you could say, the nodes can communicate with each other via network protocol. So that's one of the milestones which we set the last half year. Carsten will speak more about here a bit later if he's here. Actually, he is, about what we had been working on as well, more in depth. But overall, we reached the overall milestones for the last half year. Just to sum up, we went live in December. And then, of course, we found some errors, which has then been corrected over January, February, and actually also think March. We created 3 releases since the go live. We are in 1.3 now. And we more or less stick to the development plan. So we are pretty satisfied with this. Or we are actually very satisfied. We had very good traction. And then what's going to happen then the next half year here is that if we start like in the end, what is some of the main goals? This is all big deadline, like milestones actually, but the main goal here, December 7th, it's actually a year ago then since we went live. It is to operate the network or upgrade the current production network to run in mode 2. Currently it runs in mode 0. So this is basically so it can operate in a distributed manner. We want to have this as the main goal, to upgrade the whole production system. And that means it will become much more resilient and robust, stable, so to speak, the system, because it actually becomes a distributed system. And right now we're running it in mode 0, so to speak, which is not running distributed, but on the same server, so to speak. So this is what we're aiming for this year overall. We are going to launch an Explorer. You can then look up the data in the production system. So you can look up a hash of your, for example, one of your bills holding your tagions. You can see which epoch is networking. You can actually also listen in to see the remote locking of the system. That's going to be launched here in September. It's already working on tests, so this is going to be deployed. So we have a much nicer way to actually see the network and look into the data, query the data. That's of course very important, especially if you want to also build something on top of the system, so we can actually look into the data. So this is actually this track down here. Then we also have something called Tagion API with a Dart SDK. We have worked quite a lot on as well, upgrading the whole interface to the system, ensuring it becomes, you could say, the different parts becomes independent of each other. So we have standardized the APIs, and we also created what we call a Tagion API, which is a way where you can create high-band documents, high-RPC, you say data structures and requests and so forth. So it makes it possible to integrate with the system in a fairly easy manner. And this API SDK has then been made an SDK on the Dart Flutter, you could say, framework, which is used primarily for mobile, but also for web, because we used it ourselves for our mobile devices. So there will be an SDK package for this as well, or a plugin, so it's easy to work with the, you could say, the main message formats or data structures and so forth of the system. So it's very easy to develop on top of the system. That's also a very important milestone. And here we also are expecting to release a public node, again, also where people are then making it possible to operate a node on the production system, where you can actually then see the data in the main system. You have your own data copy, query the data. You can also send data into the system, like having your own node. And especially, of course, for developer or people who want to operate a node, that's perfect, because then we can actually now start to operate nodes outside of our own server room, so to speak, and enabling the community to help operate the system and also to build on the system. So developers actually have a way to build on and query production data. So that's like these 3 milestones here. Then we are also working towards the release 2, which is going to upgrade the system. A lot of the work's going on here. I'll not go too much into it. It's upgrading the whole consensus algorithms and also the voting protocols in the system, which is a rather big task, which is progressing well. The point is, it needs to be stable, extremely stable. That's like the heart of the system, together with the database for Dart. So that's like the main deliveries for this year. We I think last year we had some of the more commercial delivery, which Descartes is responsible for. We have taken those out because we are only interested in like now what's actually been delivered from a Tagion network point of view here. Yeah. Jonas was also saying before that we want to host a conference or hackathon. We are planning to publish some new white papers on governance and also, for example, complementary currency systems. And the hackathon, of course, in order to have a meaningful hackathon, you need some products to play with, right? Otherwise, it's going to be pretty damn boring. So having a data explorer, having some SDKs and APIs, and having actually a node you can operate makes it meaningful also to host a hackathon. And also in terms of economic theory and governance models, we're also planning to publish documents on this, which we also like to host a conference on. So we have something to talk about, so to speak. Yeah, that's a little bit high level about the goals for this year. Or for the next 4 months, basically. Carsten, I don't know, are you here actually?
That's okay. Leander can join.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so maybe while we try to figure out with Carsten.
I don't know, Carsten, if you've not done that before either. I haven't. There is another button you need to click once Jonas invites you to come to the podium. Maybe that was the impediment. But first of all, hi from my side. It's really exciting to have joined this company at this pivotal moment. I remember I had my interview at the point where the server was humming in one room with the nodes running already and doing their thing, and all the developers were in all the other rooms. I was talking mostly to Thijs and Christian and Jonas. And yes, I've been involved in complementary currencies for about 15 years now. 10 years ago, I was working in London at the New Economics Foundation, running a EU-funded project there with public sector running complementary currencies, and since done a PhD on monetary theory and been a freelance consultant on these topics ever since. But last year I moved to southern Germany where I studied and trying out a more settled lifestyle and also sought employment. And there was a great moment that at that point this wonderful company, Descartes, approached me and said, here, we would like your expertise. And because they have this separate, different approach to most of the other companies and startups that I've worked with, where it's actually about delivering and showing instead of talking, it was, yeah, I was very happy to join and come in this exciting moment. Jonas already mentioned that I was mostly behind that blog post that we published last week. There's another one coming tomorrow, and there will be a few more where it's basically riffing on the expertise of opening the concept of money, so that at the point when the network is live and operational and people can start deploying it, that the ideas of what you can do with the network then aren't limited to the crypto examples that we have seen so far, which I don't know if you would agree on that, but at least from our side, they are a bit limited and, dare I say, boring or misguided in many of their monetary approaches. So hoping to do it all different is, of course, requiring a bit of education and breaking open some thought barriers first off. And that's what I hope I can help with in the coming month. So yeah, very exciting. I'll be with the guys in the office next week, hacking on governance things, and we'll let you know whatever comes out of this. And yes, this is so far for me, the work has been mostly under the hood of Descartes, of the company developing this, but now this is the first exposure to Tagion and the Tagion crowd. It's really nice to look down to the audience and see such a colorful crowd with bunnies and birds and other avatars, a little piggy. So it's really nice to meet you all, at least in this virtual way. I hope there'll be many more personal engagements at these events coming up. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Really good to have you, Leonard. Yeah, really been a pleasure to have you join the team, and yeah, we really can draw on your expertise to actually build something really exciting, I think. So yeah, that's really great.
Carsten seems to have managed to find that button.
Yeah, so now it's just the unmute button. You need to,
Was it my expertise that's been wrong?
all right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clearly.
Yeah, so yeah, that it's always me and Gui. I don't know, but yeah, I'll just explain. Now we have we have been working on especially consensus because we are building on it's a lower level consensus. How can I say? It's like how we decide, how we agree on the state of the network, and we are using an algorithm called Hashgraph, and but in its basic form, it cannot make a final decision within final time. So we have done a lot of work the last 4 months to actually get a solution on this. So we had the problem was that we had when a node is when the network is communicating and one node is way behind, then the other nodes doesn't get the information, and they cannot wait forever. So they have to make a decision. So this is because we have to update the database in a consistent manner. So when everybody agrees on something, we have to do it consistently. So when you have a transaction, everybody has to agree on that we have this transaction, and if you're late to the game, then it has to be decided by the majority of voting. And actually don't know how to share stuff here. How can you share? Is it this button or what? Yeah, I think screen. Okay, I'll try this. I don't know how go live. Okay, is this working? I don't know. Probably. So,
Yeah.
can you see something?
Yeah, it's yeah, we can.
Okay, so we actually have this page here. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have this page where we actually it's actually directly updated when we do some updates on the documentation. So it's actually also where you can see on the technical stuff. You can actually go in and then look at different tools we have, for instance, and they are updated on the fly. So what we have worked on is the consensus Hashgraph consensus, and so what is this actually? The Hashgraph consensus is it's a tracking of the communication between the nodes. And for instance, this diagram, you can see here you have an example of 4 different computer nodes communicating, and this is the history of communication. So the time goes this direction, so it goes upward. So, and this means the arrow is actually represents the history. So it's not the communication. The communication goes the other direction. So, example, when node 1 sends a message to mode 0, then the mode 0 would make a connection to the previous information. So you have an information graph, and you use this information graph to actually look back in the history, and then when at some point in time, everybody gets this information because we are shared between every node. So every node can actually look at the graph and then get the same state of information, you can say. So, and but the problem is that that if, let's say, mode 0 is very slow, then those, because it's always voted by the majority. If the majority, this means 2/3 of the node agrees on something, then they have already decided, and when this comes late to the game, the decision have already been there. So we have done some new way of solving the problem, and I can actually show just you can see here. This is actually just an example of how it runs. It doesn't say much, but it's actually tracking the voting. You can see how many votes yes and how many events do we collect, and those numbers here is the height of the graph and so on. So you can see, yeah, it doesn't really make sense if you, but it's just to show that the system, how the system internally works. And then we have, I have an example. I just here we have, yeah, I have an example here. So I think this one is a bigger graph. So so we can see here. So here you can actually see this is many nodes, and all the connections here are the information. So the information goes on those lines. So this node here communicates to this one, and so on. And if you go in and look at what it actually does, then all those numbers here is all the voting results, and this actually, if you look at this number, we are dividing up into round. So this is the deciding round, and this is the round which decides, and this is a collected round. So it's always the collected round is collected from events upwards. So that's actually this has been a lot of work to get this to work in a stable manner, because what we had actually the network which is running right now is pretty stable, except for when one node is way behind. So we will update this new principle, and we are actually now working on longitudinal tests so we can run for a longer time over this. So and you can actually go in and if you want to know something about how it's done, you can see different things here. You can also look at, for instance, the DART, which is the database, and so on. And also here we have the data format we are using, and everything is actually built around this. But what we have worked on is this, and of course a lot of other things. We have also worked on the network as we have said before. So that's actually it. I think if there's any questions, then please do ask.
Thank you, Carsten. I don't know if there's any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. You can also join us on stage if you want to. But otherwise, I actually don't think there's too. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just I can see we have some technical people here in the room as well. At least Alex and Vlad for sure. And I would say the Hashgraph code and core algorithm has been pretty difficult to read. To put in a nice way. And now I would say the code and the files, if you want to check out the code, and also the documentation, has been very much well structured now, and will also factored and divided into different, you could say, sections of how you do actually the consensus and voting and so forth. So it's rather easy actually to follow it. The documentation not fully done yet; it's still being worked on. But if you want to go in and sniff around, I think it's worth a look now, and it actually makes sense to look at it. It's very good work that has been done there, so it's very nice.
Yeah, I see Mess is asking, is there any new projects to tell about? Any news on the commercial side in general? Are still well funded? Any planned internal pricing changes? I think maybe Thijs, you can take that one.
Okay. We actually have some projects, Mas. I'm not sure I want to tell. We made quite a lot of MOUs actually here the last couple of months, but we're not signed any big like commercial projects yet. That's the next step, but we are on the right track there. And the goal is to close at least one larger project who wants to actually build some kind of monetary application on top of the platform, and I think we'll succeed with this. But I'll just tell a lot of MOU in this area has been signed, so that's pretty positive. It's actually very positive. No, it's very positive. So that's one thing. Any news on the commercial side? In general, I think like token sales are going as expected, and people are still supporting the project. That's extremely cool. And again, if you want to support the project even more, all of you, just go to just call the sales team, Christian or Tim or whoever or myself. We will always help. Yeah. Well funded. Are we still well funded? I think we have funding for the project. It's not like, I don't know, well funded. What does that mean? Would we like to have more resources? Yes, but I think that's something you often would like to have, right? So of course we have the resources we have, and this has always been how this project has been run. We try to do what we have and move forward with the most important things first. Any planned internal pricing changes? Good question. So yes and no. We are discussing this actually quite intensively internally, and we are actually discussing next week a pricing policy. That's also why we haven't increased the price, because we have quite a big responsibility here, as we are not in a marketplace. And if we just keep increasing the price, that's of course very nice, but it should also could actually have supporting demand in the market. So it should make sense, so to speak. And what does then allow us, or what justifies a price increase? That's what we would like to put in a pricing policy, actually, also to make it more transparent on how we do it. Previously, we had set some big milestones. When we reach those, it makes sense because we big milestones, and we're also pretty transparent about this. And that's still the case, but you could say purely technical milestones going forward is, of course, we need to move forward technically with the project. It is the enabler of the whole project, but it doesn't necessarily justify a price increase and corresponds to demand. That's more the commercial development. So that's what we're discussing. So that's my weak answer. The answer is nothing is planned, but we are discussing a policy on this, if it makes sense, because we want to do it right and also transparent for all of you, because we have a big responsibility both for the project and to all who already invested. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if there are any other questions for now.
And I actually think in this regard, Jonas, here before the summer vacation, you updated the tokenomics paper with some examples on circulating supply and so forth, right? There is some more data in there, right? Yeah. So massive. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, there is some more examples, and we try to use some of the industry metrics on how you calculate I think we took the metrics from CoinMarketCap, Jonas?
Yeah, we used 4 different metrics. One of them being CoinMarketCap, which is sort of the conventional metric, so to speak.
Yeah, and
correct. Yeah.
I cannot remember it, to be honest, but I remember we did this also to make more clarity and compare with other projects and with standardized metrics. So you can go in there and also take a look, Mads, if you want to compare, and also ask questions about this. We can answer this. Yeah. Cool.
Nice. And yeah, good to see you like the article, Lucas. It is good. And yeah, thank you for the questions, Mads. They're good. And anyone else, if you have any questions, a week from now, someone just type them in the general chat. We'll be happy to respond to them. So yeah, I think if there's no more questions for now, I think that's it. But yeah, of course we will be we're doing these town hall sessions on a monthly basis. So I think you can always check it in the event calendar. So the next one, I think it's on the 24th of September, I think, which is a Tuesday, and we do it 8 o'clock. But you can always check the event calendar. We'll make sure to keep it updated. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Good to see you again. And yeah, see you next time.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, all of you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.